I sat alone in the hospital chapel at 3 a.m., staring at my hands. They were trembling. My mother had died 40 minutes ago, and I was the only one in the building who cared. The nurse had squeezed my shoulder before leaving. "Take your time, honey," she'd whispered. But time for what? To process that I'd spent the last 15 years caring for Mom while my siblings built their perfect lives 3 states away? To accept that neither of them had answered my calls when I told them she was fading? I pulled out my phone. The screen lit up with a text from my sister Karen. "Just landed in Chicago. Big meeting tomorrow. Can't reschedule. So sorry, Patty. You understand." Below it, my brother Robert's message from 6 hours ago. "Stuck in Denver. Weather delay. Tell Mom I love her." But Mom couldn't hear anymore. She'd asked for them in her final days. "Where are my babies?" she'd whispered, her hand gripping mine. I'd lied and told her they were coming soon. I'd watched the hope drain from her eyes as the morphine pulled her under one last time. She never woke up. "My name is Patricia Chen. I'm 64 years old. I raised my mother for longer than she raised me. Let me take you back to the beginning. 15 years ago, I was living in Sacramento with my husband David. We had a comfortable life. I worked as a school counselor. He was an accountant. We never had children, but we were happy. Then Dad died suddenly. Heart attack. Mom was 69, living alone in San Jose in the house where we'd grown up. Karen called me from Boston. She was a corporate lawyer, making partner that year. "Patricia, I just can't take time off right now. You know how it is. Can you check on Mom?" Robert called from Seattle. He ran a tech startup. "Sis, I'm drowning here. We're about to close a funding round. Mom will understand, right? You're only an hour away anyway." So I drove down every weekend, then every few days. Then I noticed Mom forgetting to take her medications, leaving the stove on, getting lost coming home from the grocery store. Early-stage dementia, the doctor said. She needed full-time care. I sat David down one evening. "I need to move in with her." He looked at me across our kitchen table. The table where we'd shared 28 years of dinners. "What about us? Come with me." He shook his head. "My practice is here, Patricia. My clients. My life. But you have to do what you think is right." I moved into Mom's house 6 months later. David filed for divorce 8 months after that. He was kind about it. Said we'd grown apart. Maybe we had. Or maybe I'd just chosen my mother over my marriage, and he couldn't forgive that. The years blurred together after that. I learned to cook the foods Mom loved when she couldn't remember how. I held her hand through the fear when she didn't recognize her own reflection. I changed her clothes when she had accidents. I sang her the lullabies she'd sung to me as a child. Karen visited twice in 15 years. Once for Christmas 2015, when she stayed for 4 hours and spent most of it on conference calls. Once in 2019 for Mom's 80th birthday, when she took photos for Instagram and left after the cake. Boston is so far, you know, and work is insane. But you're doing such a great job, Patty. Mom is lucky to have you. Robert came 3 times. He'd breeze in talking about IPOs and venture capital and market disruption. He'd give Mom an expensive gift she didn't need and couldn't use. Then he'd pull me aside. "How are you holding up? Financially, I mean, if you need anything." But he never actually sent money. And when I called him once, desperate, saying I needed a break, just 1 week to breathe, he said, "I hear you, sis. This is so hard. But I'm traveling to Tokyo next month, and the month after that we have the product launch, and you know how Julie is about me being away." Julie was his 3rd wife, so I stayed. I gave up my career, my marriage, my friends, my life. I told myself it was the right thing to do, that this was love, that Mom had sacrificed for me when I was young, and now it was my turn. But in the dark moments, at 2 a.m. when Mom would wake up screaming because she didn't know where she was, I'd wonder where my brother and sister were. I'd imagine them sleeping peacefully in their beautiful homes, with their successful spouses and their thriving careers, and I'd feel so utterly alone. 3 weeks ago, Mom stopped eating. The hospice nurse came to the house. Days, she told me quietly. Maybe a week. I called Karen. I called Robert. I left voicemails. I sent texts. Karen responded, "Oh God. Let me check my calendar." Robert wrote back, "Keep me posted." Mom died on a Tuesday at 2:14 a.m. I was holding her hand. Her last words were spoken 2 days before, in a moment of clarity that sometimes comes near the end. She'd looked at me, really looked at me, and said, "Patricia, my faithful girl, don't let them take everything." Then the fog had returned, and she'd never surfaced again. Now I sat in that chapel, exhausted, alone, and so angry I could barely breathe. My phone buzzed. Karen again. "Tell me about the arrangements. I can probably fly in Saturday." The funeral was on Saturday. I paid for it with Mom's savings. I chose her favorite flowers, peonies, though they cost 3 times what roses would have. I picked out her dress, the blue one she'd worn to my college graduation. I wrote her eulogy, sitting at her kitchen table at midnight, tears dropping onto the paper. Karen arrived Friday night, Robert Saturday morning. They both came to the funeral home before the service. "Oh, Patty," Karen said, hugging me. She smelled expensive, like perfume that cost more than Mom's monthly medications. "This is so hard. How are you doing?" I didn't know how to answer that. How was I doing? My mother was dead. My marriage was long over. I'd given up 15 years, and I was standing in a funeral home wearing a dress I'd bought at Target because I didn't have money for anything else. "I'm managing," I said. Robert squeezed my shoulder. "You look tired, sis. You should take some time for yourself after this. Maybe a vacation?" A vacation. With what money? The service was small. Some neighbors. A few of Mom's friends from her bridge club who were still alive. Karen and Robert sat in the front row with me. Karen cried beautifully, just enough to show emotion without ruining her makeup. Robert held tissues but never used them. I sat between them and felt like a stranger. After the burial, we gathered at Mom's house. The house where I'd been living for 15 years. The house where I'd bathed Mom and fed her and watched her slowly disappear. Karen and Robert stood in the living room, looking around with appraising eyes. "It's smaller than I remembered," Karen said. "Needs updating," Robert added. "But the neighborhood's good. Property values in San Jose have been crazy." I was in the kitchen making coffee, and I could hear every word. My hands shook as I poured water into the machine. They came into the kitchen together. Karen pulled out a chair at the table. Robert leaned against the counter. They looked at each other, some silent communication passing between them, and then Karen spoke. "So, Patty, we need to talk about Mom's estate. Estate. As if Mom had been rich. She'd had this house, paid off, some savings, mostly gone now on medical bills and hospice care. A small life insurance policy, maybe 50,000. "Okay," I said slowly. "Obviously we'll need to sell the house," Karen continued. "Split everything 3 ways. That's fair, right? I've already talked to a realtor friend in the area. She says we could probably get close to 1.2 million in this market." I set down the coffee pot. "Sell the house." "Well, yeah. Unless you want to buy us out? Do you have $400,000? She laughed a little, like it was absurd to even consider. Which it was. I had about $6,000 in my checking account. "I live here," I said. Robert straightened up. "Right, and we appreciate everything you've done, sis. Really, but you can find an apartment. You're still young enough to work. And honestly, you should get back out there. This has been, well, it's been a lot. You've put your life on hold long enough." I stared at him. "You want me to move out of Mom's house so you can sell it and take the money?" "Our inheritance," Karen corrected. "It's not taking. It's our right. Mom would have wanted us to have it." Something cold settled in my chest. Did she? Did she tell you that? When exactly did she tell you that, Karen? Was it during one of your 2 visits in 15 years? Karen's face hardened. "That's not fair. I had a career. responsibilities. You chose to play caretaker, Patty. Nobody forced you. Chose, the word tasted bitter. I chose because there was no one else. You both disappeared. We had lives, Robert said. Defensive now. Important jobs. We contributed in other ways. What ways? Tell me. What did you contribute? Silence. Karen's voice went cold, her lawyer voice. Listen, Patricia. We're not going to have this argument. The law is clear. In California, when someone dies without a will, the estate gets divided equally among the children. We're entitled to our shares. Without a will? I repeated. How do you know Mom didn't have a will? Did she? Robert challenged. I didn't answer. Truthfully, I didn't know. Mom and I had never discussed it. In her final years, she'd been too far gone to handle legal matters, and before that, well, you always think there's more time. Karen pulled out her phone. I'm calling my realtor friend. We can have the house listed by next week. You'll have 30 days to move out. We'll be generous and let you keep any of Mom's personal items you want. The furniture we can sell or donate. Generous? I echoed. The word felt obscene. Look, Robert said, trying for kindness and failing. We know this is emotional for you, but we need to be practical. The house is worth too much to let it sit empty. You can't afford to keep it on your own. This is the only solution that makes sense. The only solution that makes sense for them, he meant. The only solution where they got their money. I thought about Mom's last coherent words. Don't let them take everything. Had she known? Had she understood? Even through the dementia, what would happen? Get out, I said quietly. Karen looked up from her phone. What? Get out of this house. Both of you. Patty, don't be dramatic, Robert started. Get out! I was shaking. 15 years of exhaustion and sacrifice and loneliness erupted out of me. You didn't care about her when she was alive. You don't get to profit from her now that she's dead. Get out of her house. It's not her house anymore, Karen said, standing up. Her voice was ice. She's dead. And legally, it's our house. All of ours. And if you don't cooperate, I will take you to court. I will bury you in legal fees you can't afford, and I will win. So you can throw your tantrum now, but reality is going to hit you very soon. They left. I heard the front door close. I heard Robert's rental car start up outside. I stood in Mom's kitchen, our kitchen. The kitchen where she'd taught me to make her mother's dumpling recipe, where we'd eaten breakfast together every morning for 15 years, where I'd spoon-fed her soup when she'd forgotten how to chew. And I cried. Not gentle tears, but gut-wrenching sobs that left me gasping, because they were right. Without a will, I had no claim to this house beyond my equal third. I couldn't buy them out. I couldn't fight them. I'd sacrificed everything, and they were going to take what little I had left. I was still crying when I heard the knock. For a moment I thought Karen and Robert had come back, but it was too soft, too tentative. I opened the door. A woman stood there, late 60s, holding a manila envelope. Patricia Chen? Yes? I'm Linda Rothman. I was your mother's attorney. I blinked. Mom had an attorney? For the last 6 years. May I come in? I stepped aside, numb. Linda walked into the living room and sat down on the sofa. She set the envelope on the coffee table. Your mother asked me to deliver this to you personally after her passing. She was very specific that I give it only to you, and only after your siblings arrived. How did you know they were here? Linda smiled slightly. Your mother knew her children. She said, they won't come for the funeral, but they'll come for the house. Give Patricia the envelope after they show their faces. Even in death, Mom had known. What is it? I asked. Open it. My hands shook as I tore the envelope. Inside was a single piece of paper. A quit-claim deed, dated 6 years ago, right around the time Mom's dementia diagnosis had come back. The deed transferred full ownership of the house from Margaret Chen to Patricia Chen, me. I stared at the paper. This can't be real. It's recorded with the county. Has been for 6 years. This house has been yours for a very long time, Patricia. Your mother did it the day after she was diagnosed. She said, Patricia is the only one who will stay. She's the only one who deserves it. But Karen said, the law. Your siblings have no claim to this house. It was never part of your mother's estate. She transferred it to you while she was still alive and mentally competent. I made sure of that. We had 2 doctors sign affidavits confirming she understood what she was doing. I looked down at the deed. My name, typed in black and white. Patricia Louise Chen, owner. There's more, Linda said. She reached into her briefcase and pulled out another envelope. This one had my name written on it in Mom's shaky handwriting. She left you a video, too. It's on a flash drive inside. She recorded it 5 years ago when she was having more good days than bad. She wanted you to watch it after this moment. What about Karen and Robert? Did she leave them anything? Linda's expression was carefully neutral. That's addressed in the video. I suggest you watch it. She stood to leave. At the door, she turned back. Your mother was a remarkable woman, Patricia, and she knew exactly what she was doing. She saw clearly who her children really were. After Linda left, I sat on the couch holding the envelope with the flash drive. My heart was pounding. The house was mine. Karen and Robert couldn't touch it. After everything, after all the sacrifice and the loneliness and the anger, Mom had protected me. But I was afraid to watch the video. Afraid of what Mom would say. Afraid of seeing her face again, hearing her voice. It had only been days since she'd died, and the grief was so fresh, it felt like an open wound. But I needed to know. I found Mom's old laptop, the one I'd used to show her photos and play her music. I plugged in the flash drive. There was one file, for Patricia, MP4. I clicked play. Mom's face filled the screen. It was 5 years ago, I could tell. Her hair was more gray than white. Her eyes were clearer than they'd been in her final years. She was sitting in her favorite chair by the window, the one where she'd spent her last good days watching the birds in the backyard. Hello, my darling girl, she said, and I started crying immediately. Her voice. I'd thought I'd never hear it again. If you're watching this, then I'm gone. And if Linda did her job right, you've just learned that this house is yours. All yours. I want you to know why I did that. She paused, gathering her thoughts. I could see the effort it took her to stay focused. This must have been recorded on a good day, but even then, the fog was creeping in. Patricia, you gave up your life for me. I know that. I know what it cost you. Your marriage, your career, your dreams. You did it because you love me, because you're good and kind and loyal, but your brother and sister, they didn't come. And I understood why they didn't come. She looked directly into the camera, directly at me. They didn't come because they never saw me as a person, only as a parent, only as someone who was supposed to give them things. And when I couldn't give them anything anymore, when I became a burden instead of a benefit, they disappeared. I forgave them for that. People are who they are. But I couldn't let them take from you after you'd given so much. Mom's hand reached up to wipe her eyes. So I gave you the house. It's not enough, Patricia. It will never be enough to repay what you've done, but it's what I could give. This house, these walls, they hold our memories. They hold your sacrifice. They should be yours. She took a shaky breath. Now, about your brother and sister. I did leave them something, not because they deserve it, but because I'm still their mother, and I can't help loving them even when they break my heart. The screen flickered, and I realized there was a second part to the video. Karen and Robert, Mom said, her voice harder now. If you're watching this, then Patricia has chosen to show you this video. She didn't have to. The house is hers alone, and she could have told you nothing. But she's kinder than you've been. Mom leaned forward. I've left you each a gift. In my safe deposit box at Wells Fargo, there are 2 envelopes, one for each of you. Inside each envelope is a check for $25,000. It's from the life insurance policy your father left me. I could have left you more. I could have left you nothing. I chose this amount because it's exactly what you would have spent on my care if you'd hired full-time nursing for 1 year. 1 single year out of the 15 Patricia gave me. Her eyes were sharp now, cutting. Take the money if you want it. But there's a condition. You have to come back to San Jose. You have to sit down with your sister. And you have to listen to her tell you, in detail, what the last 15 years of her life were like. Every moment, every sacrifice, every lonely night. You have to hear it, all of it. And then you have to decide if $25,000 feels like enough of an inheritance for children who forgot their mother was alive until she was dead. Mom sat back in her chair. Patricia has the key to the safe deposit box. It's her choice whether to give it to you. I trust her judgment more than my own. She's earned that right. The video ended. I sat in the dim light of the living room, tears streaming down my face. Mom had seen everything. She'd understood everything, and she'd tried in her way to make it right. The next morning, Karen called. "Patricia, we need to talk." I spoke with a lawyer, and— "The house is mine," I interrupted. "Mom transferred it to me 6 years ago. It's recorded with the county. Your lawyer can confirm that." Silence. Then— "What?" "You heard me. The house isn't part of the estate. Mom gave it to me while she was alive. You have no claim to it." "That's not. She couldn't have. She had dementia. She transferred it the day after her diagnosis, while she was still competent. Her attorney made sure everything was legal. I have the paperwork." More silence. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line. "So that's it?" Karen's voice cracked. "We get nothing?" I thought about the video, about Mom's challenge, about the choice I had to make. "There is something," I said slowly. "Mom left you and Robert each $25,000 from Dad's life insurance. It's in a safe deposit box." $25,000? Robert had apparently picked up on another line. "That's it? The house must be worth $1.2 million, and we each get 25 grand? "That's it," I confirmed. "But there's a condition." I told them about Mom's request, that they had to come to San Jose, sit with me, listen to me tell them about the 15 years they'd missed. Really listen, not interrupt, not defend themselves, just hear what their absence had cost. "You want us to sit through some guilt trip for $25,000? Karen asked. "Patricia, that's manipulative. It's Mom's will. You don't have to do it. You can walk away. The choice is yours." Robert spoke up. "When?" "When what? When would we need to come?" I hadn't expected that. "I don't know. Whenever you can. Whenever you want to hear what I have to say." "We could do this weekend," he said quietly. "I could move some things around. I could fly back out," Karen added, her voice smaller now. If you really want us to." I closed my eyes. Did I want them to? Did I want to relive 15 years of loneliness and exhaustion? Did I want to watch their faces as I told them about the nights I'd cried myself to sleep, about the times I'd called them begging for help, about the day I'd signed my divorce papers in a hospital cafeteria because I couldn't leave Mom's side? "Yes," I heard myself say. "I want you to." They came that Saturday. We sat at Mom's kitchen table, the three of us. I made coffee. Karen and Robert looked uncomfortable, uncertain. They'd never seen me like this before. In control, holding something they wanted. "Before I tell you anything," I said, "I need you to understand something. This isn't about the money. This isn't about the house. This is about Mom. And it's about you finally seeing what you did, what you didn't do." Karen nodded. Robert stared at his hands. I started talking. I told them everything. I told them about moving into the house and leaving David, about Mom's fear when she realized she was losing her mind, about the medications and the doctor's appointments and the insurance fights. I told them about the time Mom had wandered out at night in her nightgown and I'd found her 3 blocks away, crying because she couldn't remember how to get home. About the day she'd looked at me and asked, "Who are you? Where's my daughter Patricia?" About the hours I'd spent showing her photo albums, trying to help her hold on to her memories. I told them about calling them, over and over, about the promises they'd made to visit, about the times they'd canceled at the last minute, about birthdays and Christmases they'd missed, about how I'd made excuses to Mom. Karen's coming next month. Robert's just busy with work. About how Mom had stopped asking eventually, stopped hoping. I told them about the loneliness, about having no one to talk to, no one to share the burden with, about watching my friends move on with their lives while I changed my mother's diapers, about the exhaustion that went so deep it became part of my bones. I talked for 2 hours. They listened. Karen cried. Robert's jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping, but they didn't interrupt. They didn't defend themselves. They heard me. When I finished, the kitchen was silent, except for Karen's quiet crying. I'm sorry, Robert said finally. His voice was rough. God, Patty, I'm so sorry. I didn't let myself think about what you were going through. It was easier to tell myself you had it under control, that you wanted to do it. I knew that wasn't true, but I told myself that anyway because acknowledging the truth would have meant I had to change my life. And I didn't want to change my life. Karen wiped her eyes. I have no excuse. None. I chose my career over my mother. I chose comfort over responsibility. And I let you carry all of it because it was convenient. I'm ashamed, Patricia. I'm so ashamed I can barely look at you. I sat back in my chair. I'd expected defensiveness, anger, not this raw honesty. The money, I said. Do you still want it? They looked at each other. Then Karen shook her head. No, give it to charity, or keep it. You've earned it more than we have. I don't want it either, Robert said. She was right. $25,000 for 1 year of care. We owe you 15 times that, and we can never pay it back. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the safe deposit key. I set it on the table between us. Take it, I said. Both of you. Mom left it for you. Not because you deserved it, because she loved you anyway. Because even after everything, you were still her children. Patricia. Karen started. Take it, I repeated. But I want something in return. Not money. I want you to be my family again. Real family. The kind who shows up. The kind who calls on Tuesday just to talk. The kind who remembers birthdays and comes for Christmas. I want my brother and sister back. And if you can't do that, if you take the money and disappear again, then we're done. Forever. I'll sell this house and move somewhere you'll never find me. And you can live with the knowledge that you had a sister and you threw her away twice. Robert reached across the table and took my hand. His grip was tight, almost desperate. We'll show up. I swear to God, Patty, we'll show up. Karen took my other hand. We'll do better. We'll be better. Just give us a chance to try. That was 8 months ago. Karen flies out once a month now. She stays for a weekend, and we cook together and go through Mom's things and talk. Really talk. About her marriage that's falling apart. About the partnership she's questioning. About the life she built that looks perfect but feels empty. She started seeing a therapist. She says confronting what she did to Mom, to me, broke something open in her. Robert comes every 6 weeks. He brings his youngest daughter, my niece Emily, who I barely knew before. We take her to the park where Mom used to take us. We tell her stories about her grandmother. Robert's learning to be present, to stop hiding behind his work. It's hard for him, but he's trying. Last month, on what would have been Mom's 88th birthday, we all came together. We sat in her backyard, the 3 of us, plus Emily and Karen's husband, Tom, and we told Mom stories, happy ones, funny ones. We laughed and cried and remembered her as she'd been before the dementia, when she was strong and sharp and full of life. She'd like this, Karen said. All of us together. She'd like that we're trying, Robert corrected. She'd know we're still screwing up sometimes, but she'd like that we're trying. I looked around at my family, broken and imperfect, and slowly healing. I thought about Mom's video, about her wisdom in knowing that people could change if given the right push. She'd orchestrated all of this, the deed, the conditional inheritance, the challenge to listen. She'd given me the house, yes, but more than that, she'd given me the leverage to demand what I really needed, my family back. The house is quiet now in the evenings, sometimes too quiet. I miss Mom terribly. I miss her laugh, and her stories, and even the hard parts, the caregiving that consumed my life. But I'm not alone anymore. Karen calls me every Wednesday night. Robert texts me dad jokes every morning. Emily drew me a picture that's on my refrigerator. I think about what Mom said in her video. It's not enough. It will never be enough. She was right. The house doesn't erase 15 years of sacrifice. The reconciliation with my siblings doesn't undo their abandonment. But it's something. It's a foundation to build on. I still live in Mom's house, my house. I've started redecorating, making it mine. But I kept her favorite chair by the window. Sometimes I sit there in the evening and watch the birds, like she used to, and I talk to her. I tell her about Karen's visits, and Robert's progress, and Emily's soccer games. I tell her thank you for seeing me, for protecting me, for loving me enough to give me not just a house, but a chance at having my family back. I tell her I forgive them, and I think, wherever she is, she already knew I would, because she knew me better than anyone. She knew I'd choose love over bitterness, family over revenge, just like she did when she left them the money, instead of cutting them off completely. That's what real love looks like, I've learned. It's not about keeping score or getting even. It's about giving people a chance to be better than they've been. It's about holding them accountable, while still holding them close. It's about understanding that people are complicated and flawed and capable of change. Mom's last gift wasn't the house. It was the wisdom to know what I really needed, and the courage to demand it. She taught me, in the end, that you can love people and still require them to earn their place in your life. That forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. That family is something you build every day, with intention and effort and showing up. I'm 64 years old. I spent 15 years caring for my mother. I thought those years defined me, but I'm learning now that what defines me is what I'm building with what's left. A life that's mine, a family that's present, a future that holds more than duty and sacrifice. The house is quiet tonight, but it's not lonely, because tomorrow, Karen is flying in. And next week, Robert and Emily are coming for dinner. And in a month, we're all going to scatter Mom's ashes in the garden she loved, together, as a family. Mom was right about one more thing. People are who they are, but sometimes if you love them enough and demand enough, they can become who they were meant to be. I miss her every day, but I'm not alone anymore, and I think that's exactly what she wanted.